Let's first get started with the setup tab. Over here, everything you can really do is just calibrate the accelerometer. So what you need to do is put the wizard on a level surface and then just press this button and it's going to do everything for you. After it's done calibrating, we can move on to the next tab. In the ports tab, since I'm using iBus on my receiver, I have serial RX turned on UART3. If you've seen my tutorial on how to do that, you'll know that you need to turn this on for iBus to work. In the configuration tab, there's quite a lot of settings that you need to set up, so let's go step by step. First, over here in the ESC section, I have DShot 150 enabled on my Wizard's ESCs because they can actually support that. I've tried using DShot 300, but that doesn't seem to work for me. This is the fastest it can run. You might want to try running DShot 300 because that might be faster, but you should test if it works before flying. I have motor stop turned off because I'm always using air mode. And over here on the board alignment, since the board on the Wizard is rotated 90 degrees, you can either, for the yaw degrees, you have to rotate the board so the flight controller would know which way is forwards. So you can either type 270 degrees here or -90. It's going to do the same thing. Then over here, I have the gyro frequency at 4 kHz and the PID loop frequency on 2 kHz because that's the fastest this flight controller can support. And then I usually have my accelerometer turned off because, as you can see over here, the CPU load with the accelerometer is about 25. And then if I would save and reboot, it's going to drop down all the way to like 15, which is good if you want to save CPU load. You also don't want the CPU load to go over 50%, then it's not really going to work out. Down here on the receiver tab, I chose serial-based receiver and then iBus, since that is what I'm using. If you're not using iBus and you're using PPM, you're going to have to choose PPM RX input, but I have serial-based receiver. Then over here in the other features, I have air mode enabled. Air mode is very helpful because if you turn your throttle all the way down and then you want to do a flip, without air mode, the propellers aren't going to spin and you're not going to be able to do it. But with air mode, you can turn your throttle all the way down and flip and then turn it back up. Then I also have anti-gravity enabled and dynamic filter. Over here I have the D-Shot beacon turned on. This makes it so if the ESCs are inactive for a long time, they're going to start beeping, which is good if you lose your drone somewhere in a bush or something like that, which happened to me yesterday. In failsafe, for roll, pitch, and yaw, I have it all on auto, and then I just switch the throttle to hold. This makes it so if the quad loses connection to the transmitter, it's gonna, I've set it to 0.5 seconds. It's gonna wait to see if it could reconnect. If it doesn't reconnect, it's gonna drop out of the sky. You do not need to use land. The land does not work because the Wizard does not know how high above the ground it is. So just never use that. Always put drop. It's safer to just make it fall than to have it try to land itself. Now in the receiver tab, you can plug in the battery and see if your receiver, these lines move when you move your transmitter sticks. If they don't, then you might want to check your settings on the previous tabs. In the modes, I have a 1-position switch on the FlySky FSI6 set to arm. So when I flick it down, it's going to arm the quad. And then if you have D-Shot on your ESCs, then you can use them as beepers. So that's what I'm doing. I have a 3-position switch on my FlySky FSI6, where the 2nd position is going to be a beeper, and then the 3rd position is turtle mode, which helps you flip over if you crash, which it describes it pretty well. And then the last tab is black box. The Wizard has 8 megabytes of black box space, so you could use that if you want. To do that, you might want to first erase flash, and then that's essentially it. You should just pick onboard flash, and then it's going to start logging it for you. Then if you want to look at your black box, you just save flash to file, and put that on your desktop. And that's about it. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped.